Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, the editor-in-chief of Total Retail, and I'm pleased to be joined on today's episode of the podcast by Heidi Hurst, the head of product development and marketing at EVEREST. And we're going to talk about how that brand is reshaping how consumers are thinking about home organization, particularly by merging style with smart functionality to create versatile storage solutions that really elevate living spaces. I'm excited to have you join me on today's show. Welcome, Heidi.
Hey, thank you so much, Joe. I'm excited to be here.
I'd love to get us started by having you give our audience a little bit of an overview of the EVEREST brand for those that may not yet be familiar with it.
Sure. So EVEREST is a new home storage and organization brand. We put a strong focus on everyday solutions for the consumer. We know that it comes from a cluttered home, cluttered spaces in your home, cluttered closets. It starts out as a hill in every room, and it becomes this mountain of a task at the end of the day. And the more cluttered home, the harder it is to navigate day-to-day life. We commissioned a home organization study with the Harris poll and learned that over 86% of consumers and homeowners say that having a better organized home would increase their happiness exponentially. That's become a huge focus for us. We all love that sense of calm we get when we enter a space that we've conquered. You've got that closet you finally cleaned, or that corner of the basement you finally decluttered, and it makes a difference in your life. So our vision is to help people get to that place in their lives where they're no longer tripping over things, they're no longer looking for things, they're not losing their keys and their cell phones and their shoes, but they're just having more time to enjoy the things in life that matter to them.
Yeah.
So, we began studying real pain points in the home. We uncovered a strong need during that study of the need for durable storage inside the home. So durable not only needs to manage heavy paint cans and bolts and things in the garage, but durable needs to handle the rigor of the everyday family. And, kids opening and closing a cabinet door, shelves that need to handle your workout equipment, and reams of paper if it's in your office, in a pantry setting, things that can handle heavy cookware and bakeware and all those extra appliances we acquired during COVID when we became chefs in our own kitchen. And just the exterior finishes that can stand up to a toddler, hitting it with their sippy cup, or the dog pawing at it because he or she knows that the leashes and the treats are in there. So, realizing that there's this mountain of tasks in your home, and durable storage is needed inside the home just as much as it's needed in the garage and other utility spaces. We found this clear gap between that durable storage in the market and the modern styles and colors that consumers wanted inside the home. So EVEREST brand vision is to bring that modern style to utility storage. We proudly trademarked, and we refer to that as Beautility, the combination of beauty and utility. And I'm very proud that we talk in conclusion of all this, that we've recently launched the first of many new storage cabinets, 3 beautiful metallic infused colors and finishes. And we sell those through several major retailers, to include Lowe's, Home Depot, Wayfair, Walmart, Amazon. And we certainly look forward to expanding our retail footprint and being basically everywhere these consumers are looking for this type of solution.
So it's a really thorough overview of the business, and I appreciate that. And I would certainly fall into that 86% that you cited in that survey that really derive some level of happiness out of being in an organized space, right? I think that's super important.
It is.
Yeah. I for sure, I'm in line with that 86% figure.
I think it's understated, to be honest with you.
I was thinking the same thing. I said, who are those other 14%?
Yeah.
They like living in chaos, but
happy to be in chaos.
But my follow-up for you, and you mentioned kind of the wholesale channels, direct to consumer. Obviously, I just wanted to kind of get an overview of where the products are available to consumers in the different channels that you're selling.
Yeah, so we're in the e-commerce channels right now. You can find us on homedepot.com, lowes.com, everesthome.com, and our own site, wayfair.com, Amazon, walmart.com. So all the major channels, but we also recognize that we want to meet consumers where they're at, and where they are able to shop and what's available to them. So we really want to expand that footprint to make sure that we're everywhere, not just in the larger areas where these channels exist. So we want to keep that presence online, because we know that that's definitely a shift that's happened over the many years. but also in store. You know, the convenience of being able to go to the store and pick up these items. We know the weekend warrior exists, and these are people that they see the need and they're ready to conquer it now and today. And that consumer needs to be able to go to a store and buy these items. And that's super important. Or they lose the momentum and they move on to the next thing in their life, and that clutter never gets conquered. So we recognize the importance of being in both channels.
Yeah, and imagine the tactile nature of your products, right? You want to feel it,
Yes.
so that's always valuable from the in-store experience, getting to actually touch and feel the product and envision how it might fit in your home.
Absolutely. You know, consumers, it's not as though there's not solutions out there today. It's just consumers have had so many failed solutions. You know, if you buy a rack to handle your shoes and that rack breaks after a month, now you have shoes all over the floor and you still have the problem. And now you have a broken rack to deal with, right? So there's this consumers have tried to solve these problems. So it's not as though they haven't. It's just that everyday rigor of the home is almost as tough as the rigor in a garage or utility space. I think it's just been misunderstood that people beat things up in the home. It needs to it needs to be able to stand
Yep.
through the toddler age, through the teenage age, and beyond. And that's where, when you feel and touch our products, you instantly get it, that this is going to be the last one that I need to buy, and it's going to look beautiful in my space. And that's the gap that we're filling with
Yep.
this brand.
Durable, but also, it looks nice, right? So
Yes, yes.
So we've talked a little bit about Everest for the audience. I always like to learn a little bit about the person I'm speaking with as well. So tell me a little bit about your professional background. I mentioned your title at Everest, but your current role. Tell us a little bit about yourself personally, Heidi.
Yeah, so my career goes way back. I've been super blessed to have a lot of fun and be able to work in the product environment. But I'll take you back to probably a role that links best to what I do here, and that's when I led the innovation for KitchenAid, and it was the global category leader for the KitchenAid stand mixer. And still to this day, it's one of the most respected brands in my mind, and my favorite kitchen appliance. So I was a passionate KitchenAid stand mixer user when I took the job. I'm still passionate about it today. And so that was an easy role for me to take on. And, we had a similar challenge. It's a workhorse that sits on the counter and takes up space. And so how do you get the consumer to really want to keep it there? And it was by making it beautiful, by making it the jewelry of the countertop. We didn't want, I was a passionate user, and I understood the emotional connection that this product could have with your family. And it was more than a product to me, and I wanted customers to feel that. We were able to bring that through and really encourage people to put it on the counter. You don't need to be a baker. It does so many more things. Trust me when I say that this thing will change your life, and it'll bring memories to your family. So it became very emotional, and I've carried that out throughout my past roles. So after looking, after doing that job for a while, I was really looking for the challenge, and I transitioned into a role as a product leader a more strategic role as a product leader for Whirlpool's garage storage brand, a product I was less familiar with. So that role, along with the KitchenAid role, really gave me the framework that I needed to learn how to take the needs of others, whether it was a product that I used or not, and translate that into a product that was going to win in the marketplace. I personally love invention. I have an endless amount of creative energy that those around me will tell you. I love creating things that do not exist today. Russell, our senior marketing manager extraordinaire, will often talks about the idea fairy that follows me around and sprinkles idea dust all around. And I bring that up because it's probably the best description of me that anyone has ever had. And it speaks to how my mind works, but the importance of having the talent around me to be able to help manage all of that within me while I help break down barriers for them. So our CEO, Josh Gitlin, he's a master at creating highly efficient teams. And he brings in people that are already self-motivated and already passionate. So he doesn't need to spend his time doing the motivating. We walk in the door wired that way. So I've taken a page out of that playbook for sure, and put those types of people around me. And I have to say that this is when you hear the saying that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I absolutely feel that. And I know in my heart that my team feels that same way.
Yeah, that's great. And as you talk about your career, Heidi, the common theme I'm hearing across is your passion, particularly for around product, which I think is a really good segue into my next question in terms of, as you think about product and particularly the product strategy at Everest, How do you account for shifting consumer preferences? There's been a lot of change, particularly, you know, COVID was this kind of demarcation point in how we, a lot more people started working from home and thinking about the home differently. Tell us a little bit about how your product strategy has had to evolve at Everest.
Yeah, that's such a great question, and, you're right, COVID shifted, there was all this minimalist, small space lifestyle, and COVID, turned people more into maximalists, where they wanted to create more space for their passions because they were home more to do them and enjoy them, and then and some of it out of need, right? I can't go to the gym anymore, so I need to create the gym, now I need to make space for that, so it was a quick shift, and it was a big one, but if we go back to the beginning vision of Beautility, and our desire to help people win back more of that valuable time. We recognize that this need happens at all stages of a consumer's life. And we started with some of the best research when I took this role, and we've since conducted some surveys through Harris Poll and GWI to help us better understand what consumers are looking for in storage solutions. We found that nearly 4 out of 5 American homeowners say that cluttered rooms create stress for them. I would almost argue that that's probably 5 out of 5, but more than half homeowners do not have enough storage solutions to choose from that meet their needs. And 4 in 5 homeowners say the look of the storage solution is just as important as their home decor. So that kind of at a high level just reconfirmed we were on the right track. But one of my favorite insights, and the things that really cause us to zero in and shift where we need to, is we held what I like to call the Insight Gala, the Insight Party, and we had people come and on a big screen they shared with us the storage and organization solution that they were most proud of in their home, and then the storage and organization solution that they just couldn't seem to conquer. They couldn't get their arm around. And these images today are still so compelling, and I pull them up often to revisit them. There's this common theme around shoes, toys, crafts, and seasonal items, and it's in everyone's struggling. And I talked before about the solutions exist out there, but so where's the gap between what's out there in the market today and what these consumers are really looking for? And I talked about them before, and I'll repeat them again. It's that they've tried these solutions and they didn't stand up to the test of time with their families, the family rigor. So there was that consumer. And then when they did find something that was robust enough that they thought could stand up to their family rigor, it wasn't beautiful enough to make its way into their home spaces. So, this is, so we know that there's a gap in the marketplace between storage and function and beauty. And so this drove us to offer that soft, frameless modern look that we put out there in our metal cabinet line just recently. We have the 3 on-trend colors, calming colors, and we'll continue to keep our eye on that trend because we know how important that is. That just keeps coming up in every gap that we look at. And you don't find those things just by polling. You find those things by talking to the consumer. The little more intimate settings that we have, you uncover those latent, unmentioned needs. And that's what we do a lot of. We all value that. So another evolution in product strategy is recognizing that we need to meet the consumer where they're at in their life stage, and the products that'll stand up to all those life stages. So we know consumers are busy, they're growing families, they're growing careers. They just don't need to spend several hours putting products together and having a million pieces to deal with. And your audience can probably relate to this, or they know somebody who can, that you have this big mountain of clutter in your home somewhere, and you have a box next to it of the rack or the cabinet that's supposed to solve the problem. And the idea of putting that thing together, or a closet system that's sitting there in the box still, and the closet's still a mess, the idea of putting this thing together is overwhelming. And so it sits there. So now you have a box sitting there and a mess sitting there. So, and then also, whether you're in the early stages of your life or the later stages in life, there's independent homeowners and they need simplified assembly. So our initial line of cabinets come partially assembled, and we're very proud of that. They have the weight and the storage capacity to handle weighty, large items in the home, but yet they're light enough for any one person to assemble and move. And that's, to us, I don't probably talk about that nearly enough. That's really at the core of what we're all about, is listening to those consumers and really hitting those things that they're not telling us, but that we're learning through hearing and talking to them.
When I hear you answer that, Heidi, what I'm thinking is that you really kind of adopt a solution-oriented mindset when it comes to product strategy at Everest, listening to consumers, trying to give them products that meet their needs. With that in mind, if you were going to think, what are the goals that you hope to achieve with the products you're bringing to market? What is, if in an ideal state, what are the Everest customer telling you you've helped them do this, or what are the goals that you have in mind there?
Yeah, so certainly what we hope to achieve is we want to be easy to find. We want to be easy to choose because we have so much out there that excites you and gives you ideas of how to use products to make your life easier. We want to be easy to buy, easy to assemble. Ultimately, we need to create the calm that enables you to do the things that you love to do, and that's at the core of it. We want to create products that seamlessly integrate into your life and grow with you. We don't want to just manage this life stage you're in. We want to manage throughout all of your life stages, and you can repurpose us for different rooms as your life grows and you have children, and then you get back to empty nester. We want to be able to create a system that those items will grow into with you. We want to keep flooding the market with possibilities and ideas through visual assets and video of how you can organize and showing the ways that you can add durable storage in any room. Sometimes it's not about that product's not existing. People don't know how to use them. They don't know what to do with them, and they don't know what fits their needs. So we're I talked about Russell Bodner. I think he's one of the most talented marketers I've ever worked with. No one is bringing our products to life like he can, and I can't wait to see all the things that we do to get consumers excited about taking back their space.
It sounds like feedback and kind of having your ear to the ground of what's happening in the market is really kind of helping to drive product decision making at Everest. How do you, and I'm probably not going to say something that's not unknown to you, you're operating in an extremely competitive, crowded category, home decor. So thinking about what you're hearing from customers, how does that factor into how you're trying to differentiate yourself at Everest versus some of the other competitors that are in the market? Probably even those competitors that have, bigger brick and mortar presences and maybe more well funded and resourced. How do you differentiate yourself at Everest?
We have to become friends with those folks, right? But yeah, really at the core of it's the Beautility. We know that there's a gap, so we're filling that gap, blending the style and durability that appeals to the customers who are looking for both. We want to keep messaging that we offer more than a product. I think when I go back to my KitchenAid days, that emotional connection is the difference that you can make as a brand. We offer more than a product. We offer the gift of time with our easy assembly, innovative solutions. We help you conquer the clutter. That's a big deal in a consumer's life. It really does change your life, and we want to continue to message that and get that across. And we just want to keep innovating products that can integrate into in the home, not just the garage, not just the interior space, but everywhere that you need robust storage. So I think that's it. I don't think it's as complicated if we stay very focused to where we know the gap is that's not being met today.
You think about marketing. We've talked a lot about product development, but marketing being kind of the other piece of this conversation in terms of creating consumer awareness that these great products exist and how they can help make consumers' lives easier, better through organization. Tell us a little bit about marketing strategy and helping to grow market share for Everest.
Yeah, this is hugely important for a new brand that's just starting out and a new
Yeah,
product
right.
line. So it's the most important is that we inspire at every consumer touch point. We get somebody excited and thinking about this need, because ultimately, if we solve it for them, their life's going to be better. So there's kind of a deeper reasoning I think that we all have in this business of why we want to help. We've been there, we understand it, we're in this business. We all have the best of storage and organization, and we want to share that with the world. But so every product launch that we have, we take an integrated approach. We leverage both digital and traditional marketing channels to maximize the brand's visibility and engagement for our products. We take a very unified and consistent approach to launching new products across all of the e-commerce platforms currently and eventually into stores. We've also integrated marketing and public relations to leverage the evolving media landscape and tell our story across as many channels as we can possibly tell it. As a new brand, we know the importance of offering new products at all the various price points. And different various sizes and meeting all those consumer needs. So this is all part of meeting every consumer where they're at in their life stage. We talked about that. And then one of the biggest goals for us is expanding our retail footprint, including in-store sales. And that's super important to me. That's all part of making us easier to find and buy. I am that consumer that's a weekend warrior. I get into my head, I got to go do it now. So the in-store is super important for me as a consumer. And I don't think I'm alone there. We got to be in both spots. There's two different kinds of consumers, and we got to be there however you choose to shop.
Yeah. Yeah, and certainly not alone. But you can just I know digital gets a lot of the headlines, and it certainly is a fast growing channel, but nearly 80% of retail store sales are still occurring in physical stores. So certainly not
Yes.
a channel to be neglecting. One quick follow up on the marketing pieces. Obviously you want to talk about the great innovative product you have, but also it seems to me part of the strategy is talking about how you're making your customers' lives better, right? Going a little deeper with that message, not just talking about product, but really what's the impact on, your end, the end result is we can help organize your life and make your life better, right?
Yes, yes, for sure. You know, um, we talked about meeting consumers where they're at in their life stage. This also means economically, emotionally. We're at when we're at our poorest, often we're forced to buy some of the poorest quality. And if you think about that, a $19 shoe rack to somebody who's just starting in their life that fails and creates that multiple problem that now they've got shoes and a broken rack. And if they're trying to constantly put it back together and it's constantly failing, you didn't add value to that consumer's life. You actually made their life harder. And we want to help consumers avoid products that barely make it through the stage, but rather make it through the all of their stages of life. So we need to expand into multiple price points. We know that space saving solutions. We need to expand into other categories. It'll be very important for us to stay in tune with shifting consumer preferences in the industry. What I love about this team is that we're all insight seekers. We're all inventors, trend and data enthusiasts, all of us, not just me, Russell, but the engineers, our logistics team, our finance team. We all have this passion. We don't wait for big studies, although we appreciate them. We don't wait for them. We're always watching trends. We're always seeking insights. The worst thing that you can do as a product leader is put your head down and focus on your roadmap and get those products out without lifting it up. You'll miss some very important shifts in the market. We don't operate that way. I think I get probably 20 texts a week from our CEO, our sourcing manager of new products that have arrived that they think is a great idea. Then we start innovating in ways we can make that even better. So we're always polling, we're always monitoring, shifting consumer needs, applying them to our products and our marketing strategy, but we're not afraid to take our roadmap and shift that around as well. As the economy changes, the consumer's accessibility and their share of wallet decisions change. And we need to be there with them. We need to have products that are accessible at the time they need it for what they need it for.
So I'll close with this final question for you, Heidi. In terms of, you mentioned Everest being a new brand, but a growing brand. In your eyes, as you think about continuing that momentum, that growth momentum, and ensuring future success, what are going to be the core necessary components to make that reality? Where are you investing time, resources, and what do you think you can really win at when it comes to future growth at Everest?
I would say definitely awareness. We're a new brand. Consumers don't know about us, and we want them to know about us. We want them to know about our core mission to helping them gain more time with their family, and our products will help them do that. So we really want to get that emotional message out there to consumers that we're here to help. So it's really awareness around our products, why they're different. That we know that gap exists between durability and beauty. We closed that gap, and we got to really tell consumers that we're out there. And I would say probably the last one, there's probably more, but getting into stores, I think that's so important. You talked about touching and feeling our products. When you touch them and you feel them and you see them, you'll realize that we thought of everything. We have some, and maybe you'll have me back to talk specifically more about product, but we have some products out there that they just hit on every pain point a consumer has, and we're excited about that. And we got to tell that story. So it's easy to tell the story on a product page, but you got to get the consumer to the product page. And again, I would say there's probably 40% of us out there who are weekend warriors who are out there looking for products in the stores every weekend. We got to be there for those consumers. We just need to be everywhere. So it's a big lift. We've got one of the most talented VP of sales that we've got on our team really understands that and is really helping with that. And I have nothing but excitement about this business and where we're headed. I honestly think we're at the start of something very big, and I'm excited to be here in the beginning of it, and I can't wait to see where we take it.
Yeah, it sounds like you've really set the foundation for growth and success, and it's continuing to just do what you're doing, but thinking about the other opportunities as well, and product and marketing. As our conversations revolved around those two subjects a lot, but thinking about those as you continue to grow at Everest. I want to take the opportunity to thank Heidi Hurst, who is the head of product development and marketing at Everest, for joining us on this episode of Total Retail Talks. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Joe. It's been great.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.